Hey everybody, this is Daniel J. from Cybervent, website for ventriloquists, and I am here with Jim Barber.
Hey!
From Branson, Missouri.
From Branson all the way here in Kentucky now.
Yeah.
I'm so thrilled to be here at the convention and thrilled to be here with Cybervent.
Absolutely, thanks Jim. So basically I'm going to ask you 6 questions and then we'll let you maybe talk a little bit about the end, maybe about Branson, you know what I mean?
You bet.
So the first question that I have for you is, what got you interested in ventriloquism?
John Shirley, a marionette performer from Chicago, was performing at an outdoor theater in Medora, North Dakota, in a big kind of a Branson-style Wild West show. And when I was 9 years old, my family went there on vacation, and I saw John Shirley do his act, and I was so enamored by these giant puppets that I went home and started making some puppets. And then I also ordered some magic tricks and started putting shows on in my basement. And it was because of John Shirley's imagination and his act that was the inspiration for me to start. Years later, I actually got to do a Christmas corporate show with John Shirley in Michigan, and I said, you know, you were my inspiration when I was a little kid. And he goes, get a real job, something like that. But I was so glad I got a chance to meet him and tell him anyway.
Sure.
He was a great guy. And then, unfortunately, he passed away a few months after that. So I got a chance to meet him. But that's how it started. 9 years old, like so many other ventriloquists do.
Yeah. And how did you learn how to do the ventriloquism?
Well, I grew up in Rapid City, South Dakota, which is not exactly the bastion of show business. And so I didn't know anyone who was a ventriloquist or really in show business. I played drums in a little country western band, and I would fill in. But as far as ventriloquism, I saw Edgar Bergen on television, and Sherry Lewis were really my inspirations as far as that goes. So I wanted to learn ventriloquism, and I went down to my library. This was pre-internet, so I found Daryl Hutton's book on ventriloquism and took it home and started practicing in front of the mirror and essentially taught myself with the help of that book. And just started doing parties and shows, and by the time I was a senior in high school, I had done hundreds of birthday parties in my hometown and a lot of blue and gold banquets and all kinds of things, but I really knew from a young age that ventriloquism is what I wanted to do for a career.
Right. Daryl, I don't know if I've ever read Daryl Hutton's book.
I think it's called Ventriloquism. That's why I didn't say the title, because I'm not sure. But Daryl Hutton, that just popped into my brain. I think that's it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Besides yourself, who's your favorite ventriloquist?
Oh man, I'm not my favorite ventriloquist. So
no.
So
that takes that away.
I mean, I love everything that Jeff Dunham does, of course, like everyone else. You know, Jeff's always mentioned, but Terry Fader has a fantastic singing voice. I admire him for that. Dale Brown has always been sort of my business mentor and creative marketing mentor. I love how he has used ventriloquism in that. I really like anyone who can be unique and original. Dan Horn, of course, with his manipulation and his voice of horse, and you know, it's just fantastic. And Bob Rumba makes me laugh all the time, and I like people that are unique and original, and you know, shave their heads and look like Uncle Fester, that kind of stuff. So it's great.
I don't know who he's talking about.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is a pretty simple question for you. What is your favorite character of yours?
My favorite character is probably Chico Pete. Chico was an idea that I had in college. I studied Spanish in Mexico. I actually lived in Cuernavaca, Mexico, and went to a Spanish school that spoke only Spanish, and lived with a Mexican family that would only speak Spanish. And it was a way for me to get 3/4 of Spanish language in 1 quarter. It was, they called it an intensive course. So I was going to the University of Minnesota at the time, and went to Mexico, and we on weekends would often get on a bus for $6 each and ride to Acapulco, and then we'd pool our money, and for about $7 each we could rent a villa on the beach, and we'd buy a sack of oranges and just hang out on the beach.
Right.
And I remember I was in a restaurant down in Cuernavaca, in Acapulco, and I had a napkin, and I started sketching a little Mexican Chihuahua dog, and I thought, oh, this would be a cute puppet, and I just kept that around for many, many years, and then several years, it was probably, it was at least 10 years later, 10 to 15 years later, that Glenn Campbell invited me to come work with him in Branson, Missouri, and I wanted to come up with this new character, and so I ran across this Chico dog that I had, and I thought, well, I'm going to make this out of latex. So I actually created a clay version of it, started making a latex, but it wasn't an Axtel puppet. It wasn't coming out right. So I thought, you know what, I don't have time to do this. I'm going to try to find somebody else. But at that time, Verna Finley was coming out with some of her great puppets, and so I thought, well, I'm going to see if Verna could create this as a soft puppet. And so I sent her photos of my latex Chico and some photos of my sketch, and she created Chico for me, and I've had him all these years, and I've used him all over the world on cruise ships and thousands of shows. He's a little beat up now, but you know.
Same Verna figure though.
Same figure, yeah.
Wow.
She made him in 1991 for me.
Wow.
I've been using him ever since then.
That's fantastic.
And
I mean, he's been through
1990,
lots of
maybe
shows.
it was 90,
Yeah.
91, 92, around in that time.
Wow.
And so he's my favorite character, and of course I wanted it to be different than just the typical way you hold a puppet, so I came up with the jacket and the backpack as a unique way to present it. I've always tried to do that with my puppets, with the Barber in Seville, where I'm the dummy. You know, I made it so it looks like he's carrying a dummy on the side, and and that, you know, that has worked well for me because it's helped me stand out.
Right. Oh, definitely makes
from
you
other
stand
acts on the road, you know. And so.
Okay. All right. How many times have you attended the convention personally, and what's your favorite part of the convention?
Well, my favorite part of the convention, I'll start with that, is just the friendships that we build. Yeah. Because this really is a little family. You know, we all support each other. It's the best audience in the world. If you're going to be performing at the Ventriloquist convention, you might get a little nervous, but piece of cake. I mean, this audience has we've been there. We all support each other. Right. And if you make a mistake, they love you even more. You know, it's because. So I've made friends that, you know, one of the first people I met was Dale Brown, and you know, so we've, you know, known each other for many, many years, and Mark Wade, and so many other people that I get to see at this convention, and that's the thing I love about it, is the camaraderie, and the fellowship of just getting together and forgetting your regular life for a week and just having fun, you know. Right. Right. And sometimes you go home all creative and charged up with great ideas. But I've been coming here. My first year was in 1985 when I was at the University of Minnesota and just about ready to go work for Opryland in Nashville. And I didn't know very many other ventriloquists at that time, never been to the convention. Right. And I entered the senior amateur contest that they had. And I won with Chico. Well, no, it wasn't Chico. It was Strum the guitar.
Oh,
talking guitar character.
And that guitar's in the
and well, the original version of that guitar is in the museum. Okay. Okay. I have the other one, and eventually it will go in the museum too. I haven't used it in years, but I keep thinking I might put it back.
Put it in someday. Yeah.
But that was the first time I was here, and then I would come, you know, scattered at various years, so I really don't know. I don't remember how many times I've been here. Yeah. A couple times I had to cancel out because of death of either a close friend who I was in his funeral, and then my wife got ill one year, and I wasn't able to come for that. So, but I've been here the last 2 years, and you know, we'll be here as often as I can.
Sure.
You know, and I highly recommend to come if you've never been to the convention.
Oh yeah.
And if you're new and you're wanting to start ventriloquism, the best thing you can do is to come to this convention, because you will learn more in 1 week than you could do in your own on a year.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're practicing, what are some of your best practices? Practicing or rehearsing, because, yeah.
Well, in Branson, when I was doing 1 or 2 shows a day, you know, almost every day of the week, you didn't need to practice too long afterwards, because you're doing it so often, your voice is already warmed up. But always on the way to the theater, and you know, for the first show, I would do a lot of vocalizing in the car, and because, you know, when I do it at home, people complain. So
right.
the noise, no, but in the car you can go, ah, ha, 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 you can sing scales, and you can do funny sounds, and loosen up your face, and I like to do that just to get warmed up, and then when I get to the theater, I feel pretty good at that. But, like 3 years ago, I lost my wife, and I won't go into the whole story, but she passed away. I had a teenage daughter, and I needed to be home for her, and so I stopped doing shows for a while, and I just did marketing, and it's been 3 years now since I've done a regular show on a regular basis. But this fall I'm going to be going back on stage with a lunchtime show in Branson, doing a full hour and 10-minute comedy show myself, and so I'm getting now prepared to do that, and having to, you know, start work on some new material, and I've got some new puppets that I'd like to put in. Very little free time to work on it.
Right.
So I know I'll be relying on a lot of my past material to start out with, but you know, it will be good for me just to get back out there and start doing it again.
Right.
I've enjoyed what I've been doing, but you know, after doing ventriloquism for most of my career, it's kind of hard to step away from it completely.
Right. Oh yeah. No, I understand. Well, it's a passion, right?
I guess it pays the bills. I mean, ventriloquism for me was always I could make money easier as a ventriloquist than anything else I ever did. It seemed like, you know, but I loved it so much it didn't feel like work.
Right.
You know, it was fun, but I've done a lot of other things that really were work, take a lot of time and effort for the money, but I, you know, I have a new appreciation for ventriloquism after stepping away from it for a while.
Sure, I bet. I bet. What advice would you give people? 2 things. First of all, just starting out in ventriloquism, and then the second thing, and I think you answered that earlier, is one of the things was come to the convention, right?
Come to the convention, yeah, and watch. You know, you've got the luxury today of YouTube, where you can see every ventriloquist ever and study their technique and see their style. You know, I didn't have that at all when I was growing up, and so YouTube is a fantastic resource for learning. But I also think you need to look at yourself and what is it about you that makes you you. What's your hobby? What do you love to do? And then try to incorporate that into a ventriloquist act, so that you come up with something that's totally unique to you. Right. And you know, you will benefit in a huge way by doing that. Yeah. Because this business is a personality business. You know, people that if you want to be a star on television, it's all about you and your personality and your characters. If you want to do it just to make a living as a business, then you have to look at, you know, what are the needs in your community, in your market, and how can you position this to be able to entice people to pay you to do it. Right. And or if you're going to be a touring performer, what type of venues would you be interested in working, and is that lifestyle conducive to something that, you know, you'd like to do? And or, you know, if you're young and single, being out on the road is a lot of fun. Right. If you're married and your spouse doesn't want to go on the road with you, it can be a drag, because you know, it can tear a marriage apart. Right. Right. My wife, when we were first married, she was in entertainment, and she thought yeah, she'll go with me on the road and we'll just do it together.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 2 weeks on the road, she said, I can't do this. I'm gonna go back to school and get my master's degree.
Yeah.
So, you know, for the next 10 years, she was in school and doing other things and studying her craft as an actress in New York, and I was off all over the country traveling and then coming home in and out.
Right.
And we did it, you know, I mean, you know, worked out well for us, but you know, there are times where I thought I would give those 10 years, I would rather take them back and
Sure.
and not me traveling so much.
Right. Right.
But, you know, I don't regret it, and it's important if you're starting out in ventriloquism just to really know yourself and before you get involved in something like the cruise ship market or you know, with an agent booking you on the road, because once you get going, sometimes it's hard to get out of it because they start booking you so much, and then when you're gone and doing that, the other things that you had at home kind of dry up and go away, and so.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, there are no rules, hard, fast rules, because it's different for everybody.
Right. Right. And people that are the first time coming to the convention, do you have any advice for them?
Don't be shy. Get around and say hi to people and introduce yourself. Get up on stage for the open mics and just try it, even if you don't feel like you're ready, because that is a huge hurdle to get over that shyness and that initial performance. Every time you do a show, that nervousness will decrease just a little bit.
Yeah.
And so the more and more you perform, and when you get it, and you see that other people are doing this, you realize, oh, I'm not alone. You know, it's not just me that thinks this is cool, you know, because sometimes when it's just you and there's no other ventriloquists around, you seem a little odd to your friends maybe. You know?
Sure.
It could be in a good way. They
Right.
might think it's cool, but when you come here and you meet other people that have similar interests, then you realize, you know, this is probably a little more normal than maybe my family thought.
Right. All right. And
I always love coming here, seeing moms and dads with their little kids.
Yeah,
and
oh, yeah.
how supportive they are.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
my folks were very supportive too, but my dad still wanted me to have something to fall back on in
Right.
college, you know.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
But they're proud of what I've been able to do, and they're very supportive.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you have anything you'd like to close with and tell the people about?
Oh, just I want to thank Daniel for all he does to promote the art of ventriloquism. I mean, he's really worked hard, put in a lot of time and effort on building this, and he deserves that credit for that.
Thanks.
And I want to thank all the folks at Van Haven Museum. I'm proud to be an associate on the what is it called?
The board?
Associate director. It's not really the board of directors. It's an associate director of the association. It's 501c3, and this ventriloquist museum is your museum. I mean, if you're a working ventriloquist, someday you're going to want your characters to be here for the rest of their lives, and that'll be a long time. And we want to preserve this, and so. When you make a donation towards this effort to build this new building, just keep in mind you're also donating for yourself and a place for your kids and your grandkids and their grandkids to be able to come and see where it all started with your puppets and things, and that's pretty cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Jim, for coming, and
Thank you.
appreciate you giving me the opportunity to interview you.
Well, it's been my pleasure. And
All right.
you said this was full?
It was full. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cybervent.